Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Sportsbook Confidential. My name's John Sullivan, and I'm coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls, New York. And this little show here is to help you learn and grow as a sports bettor. And we've got a football extravaganza today, week 1 of NFL and week 2 of college football. And I'm going to spend the day going over all the NFL games this weekend and some of the college games where I see value or are of interest. Interesting game last night between Tampa Bay and Dallas. Dallas proved that their defense has not improved, and they continue to give up a lot of points. And with Dak Prescott back in the lineup, they can score points, but for them to outscore their opponents 35-30 every week is going to be a very difficult task. Tampa Bay disappointed me a little bit with their turnovers. Those turnovers are going to happen, but they didn't help my under. So let's do what we always do and start by updating my bankroll. And I'm adding a new wrinkle for those of you that have been watching the last few weeks. Starting bankroll last week was $264. We had Notre Dame -7, which lost. They had an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter. Ended up going to overtime. So it's -$9 to the bankroll. And this number in the brackets is a 0, and that is the count. And I did an episode, I believe it was called Introducing the Count, but you can look that up on YouTube, where I explain what the count is if my bet beat the closing line. I give it a +1. If it does not beat the closing line, if it ties the closing line, it gets a 0. And if it does not beat the closing line is better than what I wagered. It gets a -1. So obviously you get a +1 or a -1 or no change. And if you're beating the line, a closing line more often than not, you will have a positive count. And if you're not, you'll have a negative count. So for college and pro football, I'm going to keep a count going forward with the NFL season and the college games, so you can follow along with me. And then we had Alabama -19, and that was an easy winner against the 16-ranked Miami Hurricanes. Alabama looked really good, and they beat the closing line of 19.5, so that's a +1 for our count. Then we had Oregon State and Purdue under 69, and that was probably the easiest sweat of the day. That was a win, +$8 to the bankroll. And the closing line was 68, so we beat that by 1 point, so that's a +1 to our count. And then we had Northwestern -3, and that was a loss. I think the final was 38-21. It was 21-0 early on in the game, and Northwestern just looked lost, and Michigan State just ran the ball right over them. Just ran right over them and impressed me immensely. I felt like they were going to struggle offensively this year. I don't know if that's more of a testament to Michigan State or a detriment to Northwestern, but -$9 to the bankroll and 0 change to the count because the closing line was -3. And then finally last night we had the Dallas-Tampa Bay under 52. That was a loser. Tampa Bay had those 2 turnovers back-to-back right within their own quarter of the field at the end of the second quarter that really blew that out of the water. -$9 to the bankroll. And the closing line was 52.5, so that's -1 on our count. So if you do the math, we had -$11 to the bankroll on the week, which makes our new bankroll $253. And dividing by 30, as I like to do, to adjust my bet size. Try to be selective going forward. It makes my bet size $8 going forward this week. And then doing the math on the count, that makes our count going forward +1. So far so good. We're beating the closing line more often than not, and we'll see how that goes. So we're not going to have a sportsbook lesson today. Next week I have a very interesting sportsbook lesson planned. But we're going to go right into NFL this week because we've got a full slate of games. And, of course, as I've always done, I am going to go over the lines for each game plus how my model projects the outcome of each game. And I use a spreadsheet and I weight certain statistics to determine my projection. I found in the pro side of things that my model has been pretty good. You find more value in the first couple weeks of the season, and then as the season progresses, the model seems to get closer and closer to what the market line is because we have current season data to work with. So sometimes we have to plug and play player data from other teams into new teams and vice versa for me to get the numbers that I need to run the spreadsheet. But it's a constant, like I talk about the continuous learning curve of sports betting. You're constantly adjusting your model as time goes on. There's rule changes. For example, the average scoring in the NFL went up about 2 points between, I think, 2 and 2.5 points last season. Was that because of a rule change? Was it because teams are embracing analytics more? Teams are being more aggressive, or they're going for 2 more often than going for 1, or going for first downs more often instead of punting? It's hard to say without doing a lot of research, but it's something that you should notice going forward. And I think, since the NFL is the most, I would say, efficient and liquid market in North America betting, that those things would be factored into the lines already. Anyway, let's get started. Let's start with the Jets at the Panthers. Panthers -4, 44.5. If you wanted to go with a narrative game, this is the narrative game for you. Sam Darnold really, I think, would like to stick it to the Jets. And the Jets signing a bunch of players and trading and signing a bunch of players in the last week, trying to fill holes. I feel like it's going to be a tough go for them in the beginning. I have the Panthers as 6.52 favorites. I have the model at 44.08 points, so it's right about on. It will be interesting to see what the Jets bring offensively. If you watch the show, you know how I feel about rookie NFL quarterbacks. It doesn't matter how good they are, how good they'll become. They struggle in the beginning. There have been hardly any that have not. You can go back, and I always say Elway, Peyton Manning, Marino. You could say Josh Allen. Mahomes didn't really play his rookie year. But the point being that Zach Wilson may end up being a great quarterback, but he's going to struggle. He's going to have to learn on the job. And I don't believe that he is going to carry this team to any type of playoffs this year. So, like the Panthers here, but getting about 2.5 points according to my model over what you should be getting. That's how I feel about the game. Lean towards the Panthers. Steelers at Bills. Bills at home, 6.5. 48.5 is the total. I have the Bills as 7.8 point favorites. 50.12 the total. So it leans a little bit over. I have a feeling that the Steelers are really going to try to run the ball, shorten the game until they get down by 2+ scores, and then they're going to have to start throwing the ball. If you watch the Dallas game last night, each starting quarterback threw over 50 times. That is not an expected outcome, as an average week for a quarterback. And the Steelers proved last year that Roethlisberger throwing 50 times a game is not optimal Pittsburgh Steelers football. So look for Najee Harris to have a lot of touches. Who knows if he'll have a great game. The run defense is kind of where the Bills, need to step it up a little bit. I do like the Bills to win at home here. I don't like I don't like any betting opportunities in this game. It really doesn't appeal to me. 49ers at Lions, -8, 45, -5.57, 52.25. I feel like this is a game where the 49ers defense is a little overrated and the Lions offense is a little underrated. So that explains why you have the big spread and the total differs from the model. 45 used to be, for about a period of 3 to 4 years, 45 points was about the NFL average for a game, total points scored. And like I said, it's gone up about 2.5 points. So this actually started at 44.5, and it's been bet up to 45, and it's still at 45. It's a great number, I think. 45 is kind of a key number. So if you can get it at 45 and not 45.5, that's a much better number to get it at. But I like that a lot. I feel like the Lions can cover this, the +8. Of course, 8.5 would be even better. You feel like with a lot of public money coming in week 1, a lot of people betting that have just been jonesing for football, that everybody's going to pile on the Lions. Not saying they're going to be competitive. I mean, they're going to be going for the outright win here, but for the cover, I do like the Lions and I do like the over. Jaguars at Texans. Texans +345. This is an interesting game to me. It's probably considered the dregs of the schedule for the TV people. But you've got Trevor Lawrence, who has been the top quarterback prospect in college for the last 3 years. And you've got Tyrod Taylor starting for the Texans. The Texans has been selling off players. They look like they're tanking. But at the same time, this is, the NFL, and these two teams should be competitive. It's a division rival, and Tyrod Taylor is a serviceable NFL quarterback. Deshaun Watson is on the team, but I don't know if he's active but he was 4th on the depth chart last time I looked. I don't think they want to risk injuring him because they want to trade him at some point. So the question is, can the Texans score points off the Jaguars' defense? I think the answer to that is yes. Jaguars, again, the rookie quarterback. You've got the number 1 overall pick who's supposed to be a generational talent. I feel like, this is Urban Meyer's first rodeo in the NFL, and I feel like he's going to try to ram conservative football down the throat of the Texans. The big question is, does anybody that play on the Texans want to be there? If that's the feeling in the locker room, it's going to be a long season for them. So if you really feel that way, that the Texans are just going to tank, you probably want to take the -3 here. But for some reason, I have a feeling that this is going to be a very close game. Seahawks at Colts, +2.549, +1.66, 48.73. So I do like the Seahawks here. I don't really like betting too many road favorites. But Carson Wentz, I'm a big fan of Frank Reich as the coach of the Colts. And if they stay healthy, they're a Super Bowl contender. They really are. The problem is their running game. They get their running backs injured often. T.Y. Hilton has had chronic injuries for the last season. Carson Wentz is coming back to start, but the question of his continued health is an issue. The Seahawks just seem to be in a much better place right now. And I feel like this is a game where they've had plenty of time to prepare. And at 2.5, it's not like you're laying a lot of points. If you like Seattle to win outright, which I do, I feel like that's a decent wager. Cardinals and Titans. Now here's two teams that are like on the cusp of like being Super Bowl contenders. The Cardinals probably struggle from playing in one of the tougher divisions in the NFC West, and the Titans all of a sudden, with Texas basically tanking and Jacksonville rebuilding and the Colts with their injury issues, the Titans should be the division champs in the AFC South. And if they can, win some of these games, these out-of-division games, they have a legit chance of getting a bye for the playoffs. So I have the Titans as 1.28-point favorites. I have it under the 52. This is a game where if you felt like betting the under, you definitely want to wait because the public will probably bet that number up because they see the Cardinals and they see the air raid offense and they want to raise that number. But that if the Titans get ahead in this game, you're going to get a healthy dose of Derrick Henry, and they're going to control the clock. So I do like the under. 53 is a number where you would want to start thinking about betting it. And once it gets over 53.5 is a great number. We'll see where that goes. The LA Chargers at the Washington football team. Washington 1.5-point favorites, 45. I have it about the same, 0.68, 43.18. Washington has a legitimate defense, and it's going to be very interesting to see Washington and Dallas play because you have basically one of the best defenses, and if Dallas is healthy, one of the best offenses. So I feel like Washington is a legit playoff team. The Chargers are assuming their running game is also healthy, and they don't have to rely just on Justin Herbert, they're definitely an improved team. So very competitive. I feel like it's really, the Washington offense is going to have to put up 21 points to win this game. I could see this being a 21-17 game. I not enough on the model to make me want to bet the under here, but I just feel like that it's not going to become that that back and forth game that frankly San Diego likes to play more. I'm sorry, Los Angeles Chargers. Excuse me. And the Vikings at the Bengals, plus 347, plus 1.89, 49.05. So the Bengals with Joe Burrow last year offensively were actually quite good. They were a team that was very similar to the Cowboys issue that I was talking about earlier, a team that was, scoring 28 points, but they were giving up 31. They were giving up 35. And obviously without Burrow, they have no shot of winning almost any game. The Vikings, healthy with Dalvin Cook and their full receiving core, you would expect them to put up points here. That might be an overplay because they could score a lot of points on the Bengals. The big question is whether the Bengals come back and score on Minnesota. If Burrow is healthy and they can put up that 20-plus points, the over here looks like a really good bet. I'm not really feeling either side for the spread. All right, let's see what else we got in the NFL. Eagles at Falcons, minus 3.5, 48.5. I have the Falcons at minus 5.15, 46.97. I feel like the Falcons, I feel like them getting rid of Julio Jones was a great move. I understand that he was like the red zone target king, but he was always game time decision, oft injured, and it seemed like there was a falling out there. And I feel like the Falcons are a rather re-energized team, and I don't know how much longer Matt Ryan has left, but it seemed like they made great strides defensively. So if the offense can get back to that level and healthy where they can balance the run and the pass game, I feel like they can compete in that division. The Eagles are a big question mark. So, my model leans towards the Falcons, a couple of points towards the Falcons, and it leans under here. And again, I don't know what to expect from the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts is a good passer. I don't know what type of offense they're going to try to run here. And they may try to run, a more of a rushing attack. and a more conservative offense. I don't know. There's too many question marks in that game for me to really want to put a wager there. Dolphins at the Patriots, and this intrigues me. Patriots are minus 3.5, 43.5 is the total. I have it at 0.77, 41.73. So Mac Jones is starting, again, rookie quarterback in the NFL. Bill Belichick is a great coach and the master of preparedness. But you would believe that he is going to run and short passing game. And Mac Jones does not have the mobility of a Cam Newton. Obviously, Cam Newton is gone. I think at 3.5, you got to seriously consider taking the Dolphins plus 3.5 here. I am not a Tua fan at all, but that team is much more complete than the Patriots are. It's a question of whether the Dolphins, can prepare for what Belichick is going to throw at them. And you should expect, a running attack with short passing game, the quick release, just like Tom Brady did last night, throwing, 5-7 yards to tight ends, screens to wide receivers, just quick release so you can't get to the quarterback. And don't make Mac Jones have to run. So I think that's a betting opportunity, Dolphins plus 3.5. Browns at Chiefs, minus 5.5, 54.5, minus 7.64, 50.74. So my model likes the Chiefs, and how can you not, as they've won the last 2 AFC titles. And they are healthy coming in. But Mahomes got hurt at the end of the year last year, and you could tell that it affected the offense. Obviously, without him, they are not the juggernaut, even with all those offensive weapons. Cleveland has a legitimate defense. I'm not sold on Baker being Mahomes level or Josh Allen level, but he's not far behind. He does force some throws, and if they can run the ball on Kansas City, then that really neutralizes their good defensive backs and will make the game a lot closer. But if the game becomes a throwing game, I do like the Chiefs to cover the 5.5. And I really do like the under here because, number one, is both teams can run the ball. They don't have to throw the ball. And number two, they're both going to try to minimize the big play. Whether that happens or not is to be seen. But 50, if it gets to 55, geez, the under looks good here to me. Packers at Saints, plus 3.5, 49.5, plus 3.84, 49.34. My model is basically right on the market line for this game. I am not a believer in Jameis. He did get eye surgery. Maybe he will now throw less interceptions and commit less fumbles. We will have to see. Alvin Kamara is on the COVID list, so Latavius Murray is going to get the bunch of the runs, and he is more of a north-south runner. So I would lean that a little bit to the under, especially if that gets over 50. But I'm not feeling this game. There's a lot of you didn't see very much Aaron Rodgers in the preseason or in training camp, and could be a rust game for both sides. Broncos at the New York Giants, plus 342. I have the Giants as 1.06 point favorites, 43.02. So the total's pretty close. But you've got basically a coin flip game here. So you could either take the 3 with the Giants at home, or maybe go, if you want to be a little riskier, go Giants money line. If you could get like plus 140 or plus 150 on the money line, that might be a good risk with the Giants. They have Saquon Barkley back. He is not going to get a full load of carries. He's going to be limited. I think that's a great idea. They got Sterling Shepard. They got Evan Ingram. They got Daniel Jones. They have all their offensive weapons in the fold, and they are, healthy at the moment. So can they stay healthy? That's the thing. Teddy Bridgewater with Denver. Denver's defense is aging a little bit. The Giants' defense is actually pretty good. It's underrated because it plays in the same division with Washington. But this is the type of game where you can see a 24-20 type game, 24-21, 21-17, something like that. A lot of field goals. So we'll see how it goes. But I actually think that, because the Eagles may be the worst team in the division, the Giants are not far, if they stay healthy, are not far from competing from the division. Bears at the Rams, Sunday night, -8, 46.5, -7.44, 45.52. It's moved up from 7.5. Not a big Andy Dalton fan. I don't really see any value in betting that game. And then finally on Monday night, the Ravens at the Raiders. The Ravens have just had a slew of injuries over the past 2 weeks. I think this went from like 5.5 down to 3.5, and the total's down to 50. And I have it at 48.67. So my model likes the Ravens, but they have replacement level at running back and defensive back, and which means I do kind of like the under here. I think that instead of John Harbaugh throwing the ball more, he's going to have Lamar Jackson run the ball more. And you're going to see a lot more running back from the quarterback, and that makes me like the under more. But this first game in Las Vegas with a crowd, so it's going to be interesting to see what type of home field advantage the Raiders have in this new stadium. So I'll be watching. I just don't really feel much about that game. So let's move on to college, and I picked a few games here that I feel like are interesting or have value. There's FBS games. There's about 50 this week, and I don't have time to cover them all. But let's just go over these real quick. Oregon at Ohio State, -14.5, 63.5. So I have Ohio State as the favorite, and it leans towards the over. My college model, when there's super high totals and super high spreads, I have less confidence in it. If the spread's like 7 or less, or the total's like 55 or less, I have a lot more confidence in the model because you get it when you get into those super high spreads. You get into second string team playing extended periods of time. Do they want to score? Do they not want to score? Are they allowed to score? Things like that happen, and I just have less confidence in it. So I don't really feel like betting on this game. I'm certainly going to watch it, but Ohio State did have trouble scoring against Minnesota for a while, and both of these teams are going to try to score. I don't see them eating a whole lot of clock until the fourth quarter. We'll see where that total goes, but I think under 63 you might want to consider the over. Pittsburgh at Tennessee. This game is going to be very close. Both of these teams crushed their FCS opponents last week. I think both of these teams have very good underrated defenses, so I really like the under here. I have it at 50.6, and right now it's at 56.5. So that game stood out to me as a lot of value. Rutgers at Syracuse. We have Syracuse as a 2.5 dog at home. Here, of course, in New York, we can't bet on this game. The model has it pretty much right on where it is, so it's just going to be a watch the game and don't bet on it. This game I really like, Buffalo at Nebraska. The problem is I'm not allowed to bet on it in New York State. I have Nebraska as a 1.46 favorite, yet they're -14 at home, coming off a bad loss to Illinois. Nebraska is just not as good as they were in previous years. And on the flip side, the Buffalo Bulls have been building a very solid MAC program over the last 4 or 5 years. They're one of the premier MAC programs. And I think them getting 14 points here is a ton of points. And I really like that. And unfortunately, I can't touch that game because I live in New York State. Texas A&M at Colorado. Colorado getting 17 at home, 50. My model says Texas A&M is a 25-point favorite. 56 is my total. So my model likes the over, and it likes Texas A&M to cover the 17. I would say that Texas A&M is probably the number 4 team in my rankings. Alabama, Georgia, they're number 3 in the SEC, and you could maybe throw one other team in there to say maybe Ohio State is as good as those 3. Iowa State. Iowa State is ranked number 7. They're minus 4.5, 46.5. I have Iowa as a 0.5 point favorite, and so my model likes Iowa. I don't, you're getting 4.5 points there. Might be a cover play. I don't know, or maybe you want to take a risk on the money line. It's going to be a big game. It's a rivalry game. I don't really have a strong feeling one way or the other. Memphis at Arkansas State plus 5.5, 64.5. I have Memphis as 11.5 point favorite, 70.92. I do expect a lot of scoring in this game. I don't think I would bet the over here, but I do like Memphis to win by 6 or 7 points. I really like that. So I do like Memphis in the spread there. Utah at BYU plus 7 and 49. I have Utah as a 1.4 point favorite, 58.5 is the total. Utah did really well. BYU did well in shutting down Arizona's hurry-up offense with a freshman quarterback. They were bend don't break. Arizona got in the red zone a bunch of times and didn't score. So I feel like that's going to change a little bit. I do like the over in this game at 49. It's the West version of the Holy War. So those are the games that I like or I'm going to look at. And so let's wrap it up with my picks. And I got 3 NFL games for you and a college game. I'm going to take San Francisco and Detroit over 45 in the NFL. And then I'm going to take Cleveland and Kansas City under 54.5 in the NFL. And then I'm going to take the New York Giants and the points plus 3 against the Broncos. And then finally, I'm going to take Memphis minus 5.5 at Arkansas State. And there you go. So only 4 plays. If you want a bonus play, CFL, I like the Rough Riders and the Blue Bombers over 43.5. So there's your CFL play if you're looking for one. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy all the football this weekend. Next week, we're going to do a sportsbook lesson on betting tools. So tune in for that next Friday. Thanks for spending some time with me. I'm going to play the outro music for you. So let's do that, and let's go get some winners, folks. Take care, everybody.